Shoes. Where's the trash can?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's very special Jacques Cast. We are recording at a weird time of week because we have a guest with us all the way from somewhere in the middle America, Propane Jane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been hanging out tonight and doing dabs and eating food and hanging out with our kids.
We've smoked the meats. We've ate the meats.
Yeah, that
and
already
watched
happened.
children
And watched
enjoy treats.
Yeah. Is it what?
10:30.
Yeah, it's 10:30.
10:30.
Yeah. So, what brings you to this part of the world?
Visiting Deb. About 10 years ago, I did this trip with my best guy friend and then another girlfriend from Cleveland. And we flew from Cleveland to Seattle and then went down to North California and camped the coast all the way up. And now, 10 years later, I thought the House of Pain could go like Pacific Northwest tour and they get to see all the cool stuff
Is that
that
what you
I
call
saw.
your family?
The House of Pain.
Fantastic.
It's amazing, right? Simple. And that we could and I could do that tour with them.
Just look at the banner. Like, what's your house banner?
Yeah,
Is
we're
it
gonna
propane
do like a
tank or is it
crest, but we
extraction
haven't
zero?
quite figured out
House
what we
of
want
Pain
to.
is
Yeah, but it's
shamrocks,
gonna be.
right?
It is, but we won't be. We're gonna have like the molecules of propane or something.
There you
but,
go.
Like have it like a certain crest, and we're gonna put some cool stuff in it because like
Orwellian.
love has to be in there, right? Grown with love, hashed with pain.
House pain.
House of Pain.
House of Pain.
Get you now.
Now you get it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
Thanks
no.
for catching
I
up.
was thinking like House of Pain,
We
like
have a special guest.
like-
It's
I mean, I was
getting
thinking
it.
that too, but
I was like thinking Whitey Ford.
no.
Yeah.
You can put shamrocks on your family
what's
banner
the
too, your house banner, but
Oh,
molecules.
sorry.
I
that
don't want to
makes
get
sense.
beat up.
No,
You know, so I thought I could like do like a science love crest. So I want them to see all the cool stuff that I saw those years ago, and then also get to meet new people and be able to see a life that can be built based on following your dreams
Right.
versus punching a clock.
Yeah.
And that they can meet these different people that are just in
Yeah,
my
you
life
could
that I talk
totally
about.
sign up to work 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Be in a
make...
cubicle
Yeah.
or whatever.
Oh, no, I
it
was talking
is.
about my job.
Oh
Right.
yeah, but no, but the thing is, you're doing something that you're passionate about, and then they get to see that.
I
Like, oh,
don't
wait a
hate
minute.
all of it, no.
Yeah, just really terrible parts of it.
Right.
Really, really
95
bad.
today. I hated a lot of it.
Yeah, but you know, you were around people that you like, so that's like.
I mean, that's
You
questionable.
can deal with heat. Well, for the most part, you're around people that you like.
It's true.
You're now around people
So why
that you
did they
like.
call you Propane Jane? Because a lot of people from Oregon watch, so they may
Yeah.
not be sure of what the Propane
Oh yeah,
Jane
it's not
is.
like that. The butane Jane. I did hear about the butane.
There's
Jane.
a- Wait,
Have
there's
you
a
guys
butane
heard
Jane?
about the butane Jane?
No.
I accidentally. I was reading
Did
something
you?
on Facebook like a year ago, and it said something like, "Oh, that Propane Jane is crazy. I heard she chained herself up to her extractor."
Yeah.
Like all whatever.
No, that sounds familiar now.
All right, so check it out. But he
Right.
said Propane Jane.
It
So
wasn't
I
you.
sent this person. They were out of Colorado as well, and I sent them a message. And they're both like Hash Life, you know.
Yeah.
And I sent him a message, and I was like, "Yo, what?" Because he goes, "I've seen it. I have a picture of it." And I was like, "Yo, what?"
Right.
So instead of like blowing up Facebook, I sent him a private message. I was like, "Hey, are you like actually talking about me, or just
Yeah.
whatever?" And he goes, "Oh my God, no! This lady Butane Jane, she's crazy." And he sends me this picture of her, and she's legit like has
Oh,
like
wow.
a dog collar, like chains, but she's chained to like this open,
Like a column.
an open blasting column, and she's got crazy hair, and she's like amazing
I
looking.
vaguely
Okay,
remember
like
that
looks
about
like
her.
a rock star, but like has been up for several
Yeah.
days in a row. And like which rock stars are, and I'm sure she is. If you're listening to Propane Jane, you're amazing. But anyway, he's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm really sorry," and that's how I heard about who
Right,
she is.
Butane Jane. How
But
is
I
Butane Jane?
don't. I've never lived. Still never.
Is there ever going to be a battle?
Oh
like
yeah, that would be
Highlander
really
style?
fun.
There
It's
can only be
apples
one.
and oranges, you know, if you think about it though, because like we're on two very. It would appear to be that we're on two very different levels of like what we're going for. But anyway, I specialize in propane hydrocarbon extraction, and I love it, and I think it's really great. I call it the gentleman because it's like it's less aggressive and just really selective and who it wants to fuck with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
When did you find it?
Okay, so my first job in licensed cannabis,
Right.
I had not made hash or anything before. This is going to be a really good story.
Yeah.
So I had not made hash or anything like that before. I moved to Colorado from Cleveland and got badged. I was like a stay-at-home mom.
Oh, right.
And I got badged to work in licensed facilities, and I got this job in a grow. It was a OPC and a MIP, so it was cultivation premises for the purpose of extraction only. Like you can't sell the flower. They have different types of licenses.
Right.
And I got a badge, and then like got this job helping with the harvest and then whatever else after the harvest was done. I was coming on just as they were harvesting, and it was a 600 plant count grow in the Springs, like 20 minutes from my house. And I was like, hey, I'm like stay-at-home mom, I can't go to work until like 5 p.m, you know, because I'm like home with my kids all day, and then my at this time separated, you know, husband, you know, then he watches the kids, and he's like, okay, and like hired me anyway with no experience of anything. And after the harvest was done, he's like, okay, well now like it's time to extract it. And everything was really new, and he was like, you seem really interested in this. And he would make hash, and then I would take apart the equipment and clean it and put it back together after every single run. Like it was totally, everything he did was like not efficient at all, but
Right.
in any case I was able to learn the equipment really fucking good, right? Because I was like so intimate with it. And he's like, you're really interested in this, you just want to run it. And my first job ever, I was making all of the hash for a facility after I mommed during the day.
Wow.
Single-handedly for this MIP in the Springs. And started like showing up at ETS. I was doing butane then for a couple of months. Just that's it, not even that long. And I started going to ETS. We used extraction tech equipment. And I started showing up and asking questions, and they were like, you are so cool because you show up and ask questions. And I'm like, I don't know how to do anything, and I have nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I literally am like, how do I make
I'm
shatter?
literally asking how to do this.
Like, I'm literally wanting to know how to operate this equipment and post-process it.
Right.
And there were a few people there that are still there now, and we were still like super good friends. And they just started talking to me a whole bunch about it. And then Murphy Murray
I was going to ask about
was
that.
there when she worked at ETS, and that was the beginning of our friendship. And we just talked about propane a lot, and I had a lot of questions, and she's like, you should hash with propane, and gave me basics and taught me a lot of stuff about that. And and I just switched entirely over to it because it was.
And the guy you were working for is just like, if
I
that's
was
what you
making
say.
all of the hash
Right.
for the entire like in a
No, but I
Springs,
think
and
it's
there were, like,
rad.
5.
I think it's rad that the guy was just like, after,
So this
here,
is what
run
I
the
tell
machine, and then a
people.
few months later you're like, we're going pain, and he's like, yeah, fine.
Yeah, nothing because he also had no experience. He was like a Floridian black market grower, right?
Right.
Whatever. And I always will say it, like, I left not on good terms, but I will always say I would thank him for not hate to put it in short words of for being dumb enough to hire me.
Right.
Is really
Gave you a
what
shot.
it is in a really small short thing, but he
Right.
was like, whoa, she like has a lot of give a shit, and lo and behold, I ended up doing this, but it created all these weird.
I think he was
There
smart.
was jealousy though. There was jealousy
sure.
because he hated it that he was like, he actually at one point before I quit, he took samples, and you didn't have to mandatory testing for medical. It was not a
Right.
thing. It was only mandatory for rec, and Colorado Springs is medical only. So it was like not even a thing I was exposed to,
Right.
But he took some of the hash that I made there and had it tested. And there was like this expo thing we were at, and he was like, I took some of your stuff and sent it away to get it tested. And I was like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, so if it comes back dirty, then, you're not as great as everybody thinks you are. And it
Wow.
came back 0 ppm across the board.
Wow.
And I was like at this expo, and the girl that works in the office
Which
like
expo?
called, and I don't know, it was
You
like
mentioned
4
one
years
earlier.
ago.
The
Oh
I wanna
yeah,
get to
no,
that.
oh yeah. But anyway, he goes, I don't know what to say now, like at this expo, because the girl called and she goes, oh my god, you got those test results back, and here I'm gonna send it, like screenshot it to your phone. And I was like, I feel like I won by getting zeros, and there was like something so funny about that to me. And he goes, well, I don't know what to say now. And I was like, how about good job?
Right.
Right.
That's literally, I'm the person that you don't even have to give me money. If you write like a fake test and give me 100% and put it up on your refrigerator, I'm winning life. Like, all you had to do was say good job.
Yeah.
And it like turned into just like a really weird thing, sabotage my stuff and stuff like that. And I'm like, it's your
Weird.
company and your money and your
Yeah.
success.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really weird. And so yeah, anyway, I ended up leaving there. But that was my first, like, I feel like I kind of went through the gamut of like all the veterans that you guys are in like my first job.
Right. Oh, nice.
And
Get
I
out
was
of the
kind of
way.
like, what?
Yeah. Now it's all smooth.
Yeah,
sailing.
no. After that was like after that was the whole
Got the bad
lesson of
stuff out.
the black market game and all the fuckery that comes with that. And
Right.
then there was.
Right. No, it's
Yeah,
just
now
legal
it's like,
privacy.
oh, well, if I just work for me, it sucks, but it doesn't suck as bad because you don't have this whole high school drama going
Right, it's
around
your
around
fault,
you.
nobody
Yeah,
else's.
like my kids' drama is like manageable. I still
Right.
get angry and like,
Sure.
but I'm like, oh, well, I can go to sleep at night because
Yeah.
I'm like exhausted from dealing with crime versus whatever made up stuff comes your way with this world,
So
right?
did you move from that? Where did you go? Did you start your own thing?
No, I have like eras in my life. The next one came Trap Mountain. I trapped out for like some guy and whatever,
Right.
and that was a whole new level of lessons that I don't ever want to deal with again. And then, but in between that, all types of just kind of going in and consulting for people for propane because a lot of it's quite different in the post processing and extraction, and so did like little consulting things. Did a consulting thing in what is it, south, whatever, whichever way is south from here. Yeah, that way. Like Grants Pass did
Oh, yeah.
consulting, and just kind of like all ended up being like everything's been word of mouth. People that have had my stuff and they're like, oh, this is great, or how do you do that, or I saw that picture, and how do you make shatter with propane, and everywhere of all different kinds of people, big facilities, and I'm like how much, what kind of money are we working with? I'll teach you my high tech, I'll teach you my low tech.
Right.
There's a spectrum, so yeah,
That's awesome.
cool. Get along with, just get along with people.
When was your breakout moment?
My
when you just
breakout?
started knowing, people were knowing you, people were recognizing you.
Well, she was in
does
Colorado,
right
and this guy named Adam Jacques.
Yeah, I'm like, does right now count? Does right now count? There was just like a giant party and like super fun times and everybody
We've all followed you
hyped.
for a long time.
You know what? I went into, been a couple of moments. I went into ETS and there was a client there and she goes, oh my gosh, are you Propane Jane? And I like have this mouthful of food. I'm dressed like crap. I'm in the back working. This was, I asked Matt Ellis, who I love so much. He owns ETS. I asked him if I could come in and just build MEPs for a week because I wanted to know how to do it and not be intimidated by it because it's a large piece of equipment and I am not large, and so it's intimidating for me. And I was there like doing that, and I'm all like,
Because you're there to work.
Yeah, and she's like, oh my God, to her boyfriend, and she'll eventually probably listen to this because we have become really good friends. Like she has this amazing accent. She's from SoCal and like LA, you know.
It's weird to be recognized that, right?
And she's like, yeah, and she's like, oh my God, can you, to her boyfriend, the client, can you take my picture with Propane Jane? And she's like, I need, and I all of a sudden just turned beet red. And Shelby, who is Matt Ellis' sister at the front, she does all the front, she holds ETS together. She says to me, saw how I felt, and she just pulls me aside really quiet. She's tough as nails, Shelby, and she's not a complimenter. And she goes, you just take that and you just tuck that into your little pride box right now. You just ride that. And you just ride that for a couple of months, you know, because she was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, and that was like a little like
I was
silly
at like
moment.
a dispensary next or something, but it was in Portland, and like a lady walks up to me and she hands me the flyer for the show, and she's like, can I get your autograph? And I'm like, what the fuck?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you do realize that I'm pretty much just a glorified farmer, right?
Yeah.
Like, but it's weird, like the kind of there's a it's pot celebrity, right? So it's like it's like F- celebrity,
Right.
but like some people.
It depends on where you are within what falls in the. There's layers. It's like the Mormon religion or something.
Right.
You have like there's
The
the
Scientology.
terrestrial, the telestial, and the celestial. There's like the different rings of weed heaven. Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you think you fall?
Me? Oh, at the very bottom. Yeah. No, that's
in Oregon.
Yeah.
In your
So,
hometown.
but there's different kinds. There's the ones that are like, I feel like all of us were kind of just like really real. Like what you see is what you get. That's why I was like, do I look exactly how I look?
Right.
Exactly how I look,
Right.
right? Because I'm like, there's
Right.
no makeup
Filters.
filter. That's not, you know, like whatever. This is just here you go. Whatever, right? So that I like
so
that,
weird.
and the
Well,
when
you hear it all
that
the time.
passion, that's what you exude, and so that's what you
I exude strange
attract.
odors and dirty
No, I
clothes.
love meeting people, and they're like,
It's
"You're
95
so much
degrees
like
today."
your Facebook.
Yeah,
You're
like,
just like,
like
you
I
really
fucking
are."
hope
Well,
so.
yeah, I work hard at that.
But then you realize was that you that said you were sitting next to somebody, right? And then you were like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know it was this person like the whole time.
Right.
If she would have had the dog ears
Oh,
on
yeah.
from
Yeah,
the
if I'm supposed to meet
Snapchat
somebody.
filter, I would have picked
And I
right
stood
up.
next to her the whole night at an
You know?
event. Didn't know it was her because she uses so many Instagram filters.
Was
And
she
I'm-
there with you though? That's the question. Like, was she like, wow, this guy's really quiet and mysterious, like standing next to you the whole night?
Right. Well, no, I told her if she'd had those dog ears and the nose, I would have spotted you.
Oh, we should do this because you might want some.
That's awesome. So when did we meet? It was Canna Grow.
Like 2 years ago? Was it 2?
Was it in?
Or
Yeah.
a year and a half?
It's
2
gotta-
years?
It's got to be 2 years. That was Denver, yeah.
Did the first time that we met, was that when you were wearing the really good boots and there was the radio show at Adams? Or was we had met after that? I can't remember. I feel like we met there.
Radio
we met
show
there,
Adams,
and I was
yeah.
like, oh my god, I love your boots. And then we were like, oh look, we like each other. She likes my boots.
I like the culture of people that Canna Grow brought together. I'm a little
Canada's
sad that they're
awesome.
not doing more, them more often. You know, they're down to like one a year now, it feels like. And,
It's really good vibes.
yeah, like
It's
always.
a fun one.
And you
It's
just
one
meet
you look
killer
forward to.
freaking people there. And I don't, like, I get offers to do other speaking stuff, like I'm sure you do too, but it's like all of it is so, like, Can Grow isn't commercialized like a lot of the other ones. It's not pay to play and all that shit. And you're just pretty much giving a presentation pitch on your product for an hour instead of like. So the people that you would get coming to Can Grow, we were all kind of rad.
Everyone is like the top people of like you want. Like I didn't get to hear what I want. I'm like these people are people I know. But I want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
Because I'm surrounding.
Especially
surrounding
at Palm
yourself.
Springs, it was so stacked that like,
Oh my
and
gosh.
they had the 3 sessions going at the same time. Like,
Of all awesome stuff.
Yeah.
It was so good.
yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, the panel that I got to do was really.
That was quite the panel.
Like
Of people.
people that didn't go to that, you slept. You missed out. That was so good. So Cascade Cat moderated.
At the same time, though, I was having
panel.
my panel.
Oh, at the same time?
Mm-hmm. So I couldn't go to yours. You couldn't go to mine. It
Yeah.
was me and Sonny Chiba and the guys,
you guys
from
had- I feel like
Frenchie's,
it's like the
Frenchie's
headliners.
Breeder Crew.
Quentin.
Yes, Quentin.
Quentin
Love him.
is so. I'm like, if you're listening, hit me up on Instagram because he's like so. He was so nice.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I just want to like talk to him, and we actually, me and Quentin and Murphy, I think was with us, and somebody else was with us, and Frenchie, we were all like outside the hotel, just like by the not by the pool, but just out on the thing, and we were like just talking
That's so fun.
about. We were actually talking about the intimate relationship that hashers have with the plant and how they honor it and the way that they do and that how closely that falls with Frenchie. And you know, I kind of have gotten this impression through the panel and stuff like that that he really takes a lot of pride in the traditional
Oh, yeah, totally.
aspects versus hydrocarbon, and the hydrocarbon is like, oh no, that's not, you know, and
Right.
like basically I know he wanted to tell me it was shit, but he didn't out of politeness, which
Yeah.
I really appreciate. But he's probably after it, you know, I'm like, oh, now he got to see me, because outside of that, outside of the hotel, when we were talking, he was speaking about that intimate relationship, and I said, oh yeah, you know, I can tell, like I've given flour back to somebody that like I knew was sad when they grew it, and I couldn't have it in my home, and I was telling him that, and I said, I don't just hash
Take
for
it all.
anybody.
Right.
You know, and I started talking, and I'm like, it's so very personal, because it all starts with genetics. All my friends being mostly a lot of breeder friends, and having that your personal relationship with it, where you feel okay enough to pass that flower, you know, the seed onto a grower to grow, and then the grower on to me. I'm the end.
Right. Then we're all
Yeah.
That was exactly what I was going to say. It's like, as breeders, we are creating what we vision as like being the perfect representation of whatever we're trying to create. And then the grower's job is to pick,
To grow it to the best of their ability.
to the representation of what they see in their head of how that flower works, and putting all of that energy into it. And then the plant dies, right? But it doesn't really.
Well, you kill
It
it.
gets reincarnated
Right.
by somebody making hash, and they put the energy into it. It's like a phoenix, you know, and instead of just smoking on a dead flower, they're taking something that was dead and changing it into something
Making it into a different form.
completely new. Like, hash is magic, right? Like, we all like can agree that like
This
hash
hash
is
is
magic.
magical.
Right? And so you're taking all of this energy that has went
Right.
into it until this point, and you're the ferryman, you know.
Well,
you're the
I say
talent
like
for the finish line.
I wanna read the book the way the author intended it to be read. You
That's
know,
Yeah.
And so, like, if you can do that, and with honor,
Mhm.
like when somebody gives me something, it's, they're always like, we know Jane's always giving us back exactly what we gave her.
Yeah.
And I'll discuss it with you, and all of the things, and hey, what do you think we should do here? And I have one client that is privately processed for, and they breed for hash makers, and their purpose is to find cultivars that will go better with propane, and cultivars that will pick out things with butane.
Wow.
And where all of that falls,
Huh.
and they breed for like really small leaves so that you don't have to trim because it's all going to like a library. They're very, and so
awesome.
actually a lot of
That
the
is awesome.
hash all here is the hash all here is from
Do they grow that frost boss?
them.
We should grow frostboss.
What?
Have you
No,
ever
I
raised
no,
frost
I don't
boss?
think so.
That's
I would like,
one of
yeah.
Odie's, the frost
Really?
monster.
Yeah, I haven't. No, I haven't.
Have you never run frost boss?
I haven't. I would like to.
Oh,
You know what I
no.
want to do? Shane gave me a while back, and I haven't grown them yet, and I will, Shane. Applesauce seeds. And I was like, I want to grow he goes, can you applesauce my applesauce?
Oh.
And I was like, yeah. I can.
That's awesome.
And I will. But I haven't grown them yet. So yeah, that's cool.
So if I give you seeds of one of my genetics, it's possible that someday you might grow them out and turn it into something?
Yeah.
Awesome. I'd be some stuff.
Yeah, but that's what's good for you to know, because what's so important, like we were
I
talking
can't
about
get you flour where you're at.
that chain of honor, and treating something with respect, and then it coming to me helps expand the user experience,
Oh,
right? Because you can then take that and make it into a form that's reaches a wider audience for different ailments and different forms, and that is really
That is exactly how
giving
it's
people
supposed to be done.
options.
Right.
You
giving
know?
people options with care
Yeah, I love it. That's why I love you, Bill. And you know that.
with you guys.
Because we have to deal with the motherfuckers in this. It's like,
Oh,
what can we
Jesus.
distillate and
Right.
add some
Oh, I mean,
food
that's
based-
food-based...
every.
Terps
Oh,
on
that's
deck.
every.
And
That's
we need those
that's
food-grade
everywhere.
terpenes, and
Yeah,
let's...
stay
You want
tuned. I
mango
totally
or
want to make
watermelon?
How
a.
much money can
Bingo?
we make off of this shitty ass weed that we
Right? This outdoor's 2
Well, you
years
turn
old.
it
How
all
can we
into
make it
this
taste
lit-
like nothing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's in all fairness,
So
that is
Colorado's
really.
got that problem
Oh,
too.
it's widespread, because it. We talk a lot about that transition from flour to turning everything into hash, then to turning it into how many more steps can we separate it? It's like a bocce ball bracket,
Right, factored out.
right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, why do they keep going? But anyway, because when you think about that eastward expansion of it's nailable. It makes
Yeah.
all these other things, because people are like, well,
It's
my
not
buddy's
bulky.
got these packs on the West Coast, but he won't mail them. Well, then what does that turn to? It turns to pens,
Yeah.
because then it's getting sat on out here,
Right.
And so there's this weird, like, I feel like it's like a housing market or something, but it's going backwards. Like the prices of everything are like, we're seeing
yeah.
this
Yeah.
thing, but then what's going to happen is, in that, you're weeding out the weak,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, thank goodness.
And so what you're going to have left is the people that are in it, not for the money, because we don't have any, but like for the love
Right.
of
Right.
ganja.
I can
Yeah,
survive
so-
forever.
Because everybody has to.
I don't require a lot
They're-
of money. I can outlast
Right.
you.
That's literally what
Right.
it is. Because those people that do require a lot of money
Right.
are in it in the first place because
For the
they
money.
want to make a lot of the money that they
Right.
require.
Yeah.
And they will see that as like, well, wait a minute, we don't get it. And then they
I'm
walk
not gonna
away.
Make my payments. I'm out of here.
Right, and then they walk away, and then what's left is the really good weed, right?
Right.
And then you'll have this back of okay, now we're gonna have our market stabilized.
Right. We
You
saw
know.
3 farms this week closed.
Yeah.
3 farms this week.
Closed?
Closed.
Yeah.
Done.
People use Oregon a lot as an example
Middle out there?
about.
Just general.
Was there not a cap or something like that on the licenses? Is that what?
No,
No,
And
yeah.
so people discuss that
And
like a lot
money
in
could
Colorado
come-
and
Good.
out. People discuss it a lot. They
Money
always
could
go,
come
well,
from
Oregon.
anywhere.
It's a cautionary tale.
Right, like in Colorado, there's like how I said, there's still no rec even in Colorado Springs. There's only medical,
Wow.
and then there's a neighboring city called Manitou Springs, which I live right by, and it's like tourist town.
Yeah.
They're allowed to have there's 2 licenses, and that's it.
Oh. Are those
That's
people
it.
related?
That have the 2 licenses. No, they're 2 different.
Okay, I would just assume they're related.
They're 2 different license owners,
Okay.
and Manitou's like really tiny, like a really tiny little foothills town on the way to Pikes Peak. So there's a cap everywhere, and like for me, like I was like, wow, I can't even. I personally am more. Anything I get is all personal people that I know, so I don't necessarily shop in dispensaries, but I would like the option to like go, hey, you know what? I want to see what's out there. I want to try this new or whatever and be able to go. There's a apothecary extracts. They're awesome hash makers in the Springs. And they kind of like, in my opinion, they're some of the best hash makers in the Springs. And they have their own garden, and that's, it's not bad
No,
by any means at
it's a
all.
racket.
But I like just a very select different type of garden grow. I'm like dirtweed for life, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And, you know, people
So,
grow hydro and stuff like that, which is also great. And I love how clean it is to give medicine onto
I
other
thought all
people.
Colorado weed is hydro.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. I was like,
I'm
no.
just kidding. It's just really
But the only
brittle.
people that grow dirtweed are probably not in licensed dispensaries, and so I get them from their house, you
Right,
know, and it's
right.
much better if
Right.
it's cured right. But it's so dry. That's like the
Do
thing.
you guys have to use humidifiers?
Some people use that. They love like
It's like
Bovita
2-way
packs. I don't
turnover?
think like really are.
No,
a
I'm
thing,
saying in your grow rooms.
Yes.
That's so wacky
Wet
for
water.
us.
Right,
That's so
right.
wacky for us out here
do it?
because we have to run that dehumidifier 24/7,
Right.
right?
Right. And it's very different. Like it's
Could
very
you imagine
harvest.
some grower that's just like super newbie, but like gets a job in Colorado and
Right.
knows how to grow a closet out here,
Right.
and the people investing in him like have no idea, and they're
Yeah, but
just
they're
like
about
set it
to
up
get-
the way you want, and
And
he's
he's
just
got
putting like
just
mad
a sweat
dehumidifier.
Oh yeah, no. When I
They don't even run.
You touch the plant, it just goes.
yeah falls apart. When
Yeah.
I came out here to do the one consult in Medford, I came when there was that crazy monsoon like that they hadn't had in 200 years or something.
yeah.
I
2
came
years ago?
during I
Uh-huh.
came during that time, and all I'm sitting here thinking is, I'm fucked. How am I going to teach them how to make shatter in the rain? Right?
yeah.
Like, I'm gonna look so bad. Totally made shatter.
We harvested.
It was really good.
We
Yeah, 100
harvested an
plants.
acre of plants in 48
Yeah, I had
hours
a few.
in that
Yep,
typhoon.
that's yes.
That's right.
Yes, that is. You are not alone. Everybody was like,
was
"We
the
need to
worst.
stop."
It
It
was
was like
it might have been the
those
most
days.
fun.
They were like
I've had
falling
in the industry.
over. Anything you missed was like, I
Right.
saw these plants just. Everything was right about to harvest.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And everybody,
Close.
instead of working, everybody stopped working everywhere,
Oh, yeah.
and they went to harvest their plants where I was. Everybody was
Oh,
like,
right.
wait a minute, it's going to flood.
Right.
It's going to bud rot. It's
So-
going to this, it's going to that. I'm like, bud rot? What?
Leading up to
Oh.
that
Oh,
storm.
yeah, sorry.
No, leading up to that monsoon was when I realized I started seeing people use leaf blowers. They would go out there and
Leaf
tip,
blowers? Oh,
Yeah.
just
We
root
had-
to tip.
We
root
had
to
we had
tip.
leaf blowers.
Yeah, yeah. It was like before that. I was like, wow. I would have thought
It
you were
really did
crazy.
blow a lot of
It-
that rain off of
it
the
does.
floods.
It
Oh,
was
and
just
then they
seems
didn't,
insane.
and then they didn't go bad.
Oh,
If you
no.
were harvesting while
Half
was
of it
raining?
went bad. I would say half of the
Yeah.
state had bud rot that
Oh,
rotted
yeah.
away. Half. We probably lost half our crop to bud rot.
Like in 2 days, we took down 800 some plants, and
Yeah, some of my friends were
The
like,
second
"Oh, look, it
day-
was just breaking the branches. Like it was just They were
Yeah.
all broken.
You just have to
What
cut it
happens is just with how wet the air is here, all it takes is just one drop of moisture getting on that bud and it'll never dry out because the humidity's there. And that one drop of water will
Just sit there.
just start
Botrytis.
a little bit of mold. And then as soon as it gets wet again, just turns gray and rots. Yeah, it was bad. And it's all slimy and gray. You guys don't have that in Colorado? God, I'm going to grow in Colorado. Screw all
No,
this.
you're not. Because you know what's going to happen? Then your weed's going to be dry and everybody will make fun of you. You know
I don't want
everybody
that
makes
either.
fun of the Colorado weed.
I know, like, so someone
Right.
said, no,
Where
someone
am I
said,
going
And
then?
it was,
You
was
touch it.
Going to
and
California.
Ohio.
We'll just stay here.
Just said no one ever.
Yeah, fuck Ohio, by the way. I
No
know you're in
way.
Ohio. I hate Ohio State. So
They
much.
have
You can hate
they
Ohio
have Drew
State.
Carey.
Right.
They have
Really
LeBron
good
James.
food
No, they don't.
and an
Not anymore.
excellent art
Rob, do you
school.
And they have
And they have
the
one of the most
Cleveland
impressive
Browns.
Monet
Not in the Hall of
collections
Fame.
ever.
Jarvis Landry.
Cleveland Browns have never lost a Super Bowl game.
Yeah, that's true.
Ever.
Stop it.
LeBron
I
left.
always go, you know, I'm from Cleveland when my like most common said phrase is there's always next year. Bummer.
So you guys like miserable all year with sports?
I know.
Like,
No,
It's easy.
their basketball
It's a pit of
team is
despair.
good.
Not anymore.
I mean, it was.
The Kevin Love show?
I like Kevin Love.
Yeah, well, they're going to build around
I
it. They're going to be terrible.
I don't know much about
Oh.
sports and
So-
stuff.
Well, your football team sucks.
Oh, I know. No, I know
That
about the
has
Browns.
the most best future, though.
You know
It's-
what
it's
though? You
rebuilding.
can never. Here's the thing
What's
though.
80 years?
Passion.
Ryan Tracy, if you're watching
never.
this,
I love you, Ryan.
all those
I
teams
talked
suck.
about you today.
You
Fuck
suck.
Ohio State.
Now he'll be
Seriously.
listening. Thanks for the shout out that one time for the sponsored by Propane. Now I can go sponsored by Heartache of Cleveland.
The people, like we had a kid that came to work for us, and he was straight out of
Compton.
Oh,
no, what city was
Maybe
Cole
better.
from?
Here's from Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland. Kid from what was it? Cleveland?
What was
It was
his
somewhere
name?
else. Ohio.
Cole Fuller. He was a young kid, and he showed up and just
I
like,
miss Cole.
and he came and he
Oh, most
worked
people
for us,
work really
and
hard.
he
Hopefully-
liked Ohio. Like he was like,
yeah.
it was fun.
You
we
know
had
what?
a
You're gonna
good
come
time."
and I'm gonna feed you amazing food that was like here's.
Is there an ocean there?
No.
There's not an
How do
ocean.
you
It's all
do it?
water.
There's a lake.
It's all
Oh,
lake.
big lakes.
Lakes.
big lake.
It's
So
the
there's good
Great
fishing
Lakes.
then.
It's also a great place to grow weed, which is now legalized, and they have an
No,
amazing school.
it rains a lot there. It's not a great
It
place
doesn't
to
rain
go.
a lot. Depends on where you are.
I
Ohio's
know,
a
summertime.
decent sized
So
state.
Ohio's like up near the Great Lakes, right?
It is.
Do you get
It's
the lake
on,
effect snow?
We sure do. The little town that I was from, thanks, was the snow belt of Ohio.
Oh,
One time when I was 16, the National Guard had to come in because we got like 6 feet of snow in a day or something.
my
But it stays around. It's
Was
really
that in
miserable.
March?
I don't know.
I was living out in New York for a minute, and
Nice
I was in
catch.
upstate New York, and we got 12 feet of snow in 72 hours.
That's bananas.
Wow.
It was the craziest. It was like I lived on the second story,
You
and
can't
the snow was
stop
up to my window.
Yeah, I get it.
And I just said to
Fire a
myself,
little.
"That's when I
Fire.
bought a plane ticket back to Eugene. That was the
that was
moment.
the tipping point.
That was the straw."
You
I
were like,
was-
fuck this shit. There's snow inside my boots. That's when you get
You had
mad.
to
Wet
dig- you had to
socks,
dig
wet
a
socks will
tunnel.
make you want to jump off a bridge.
I did like the icicles though, because they were like 20 foot long.
Beautiful.
Crazy.
Chilly.
They make you think
You
Tori
can throw
Amos.
rocks at them before you walk under them. So, you want to talk about the Emerald Cup?
I want to hear about it.
Mm.
You said you had a great story.
Man, Emerald Cup was awesome. You going this year?
No.
No?
I should, as just a person
She
going.
goes,
Yeah.
Butane Jane.
Maybe
Pick that up
Butane
as an
Jane will
alter
be there.
ego. Anything you can blame on? No, that was Butane Jane.
Dye your hair,
That wasn't me.
bleach your hair, wear
didn't
a
do
butane necklace.
And
That
look-
was
and
Rosin
look like
Press Jane.
Anna.
That was not
Yeah,
me.
it keeps going out.
I want to do a. I'm going to do a rosin line. Going to. and I'm gonna call it Plain Jane.
It's already
Plain
won,
Jane?
right?
Come on.
It already won.
I want to do these Myron glass jars, like the violet ones.
Yeah.
But instead, I want them to be nude colored, like a pink, like a opaque. And I like Plain Jane.
With flash.
Who doesn't want to buy that?
It's already. That's what I said. It already won.
Just take all your money. I want everything.
That's
And it
awesome.
like the typewriter font, you know.
Perfect.
I didn't, you know, because rosin's no big deal. I'm totally allowed to do that 100%. So I'm like, I can say what I'm gonna do, right?
Nice.
So yeah, I'm gonna, but I don't know. That would be fun to do that at Emerald Cup because I would crush at Emeralds. Rosin's is a very easy sell. Emerald
There is a
Cup,
lot of rosin in Emerald Cup.
because that's what they really like. That's what they drop their money on rosin and lots of seeds.
I didn't buy any rosin when I was there.
Me either.
People pull the wallets out at Emerald Cup.
They?
I bought some Propane Jane extract there. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
So Emerald Cup was one of the more humbling experiences of my life. So I had this like grand idea that I was gonna be there selling my passion, and that like people would totally get it,
Right.
and had
You'd
like a
beat 'em
good
back with
booth
sticks.
space just
Yeah.
given to me so graciously through friends and people around me that I liked,
Right.
and how could I go wrong?
Why wouldn't it work?
And I was like, I don't get it. Why? Like, cool, awesome people were walking up to me like, yo, shit, Propane Jane's in. Like, it's this big deal. Like, everyone was like, yes. And then I couldn't, like, sell anything to save my soul. And then I had, without me asking for anything, people that have known me a decent amount of time, Ray and you guys, everybody, they were like, Jay needs help, because they saw the look on my face, even though I didn't say anything.
Right.
I was like, this is really weird, and
So no one was buying.
so no one was buying it. I mean, it's like people were buying it, but I was like,
Did they
why
get it?
isn't this just like sold out on the first day, and I can just like enjoy that second day and
So
have it
people
be no big deal? And I had
You were unprepared.
I was so unprepared because like I don't deal with this side at all. I'm behind the scenes. I'm teaching the people how to make the things, and then
hustle.
So
other
you didn't have a
people
swipe card,
and then
you
other
have-
people sell the things. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not like a bud tender, or I'm
Right.
not like a person selling my own product, but I'm like, oh, I'm a person selling my
My own
own
product.
product
No,
right now.
you were just a person sitting with jars in front of him at a table.
And I
It
was
really
like, wait a
is-
minute,
was it
nobody
Saturday?
gets it. It's like,
This
this
is
is
PHO.
this is what
Yeah.
it's like a breeder's cut of something grown by me organically, hashed by me,
Oh my God.
grammed by me,
Right.
driven by me.
Right.
And I'm there
Packaged by
like,
me.
why don't they get it?
Right. This is as craft as
Right?
it gets.
Like, why don't they get it? Well, I'm like, this is like with test results.
Oh. Right.
Right?
Right.
Test
science here.
results. Okay?
Yes,
That
it's
are
nice.
like, here's everything you're getting. Then I have people like Mark Sheldon, who's like this amazing chemist, walk up to me like, yo, talking to me about test stuff. We know each other. I'm like, are you Mark Sheldon? You know? Jason Pinsky is like, oh my God.
Right.
I'm just like such a fan of you. He's like, just you on the internet.
Oh,
He's
right.
like, I love your hash, but like you. It's like people like that. But then I was like, why can't I sell anything? But like these people know who I am. Like other labs came up and knew who I was.
Right.
But I couldn't sell anything to the people, and they're like, propane hash is fucking disgusting. Like, good luck. You should have.
What
So
do you feel like?
well, so here's
moment.
what's really funny. So I have this whole time I have like this a friend. I have a very dear friend that lives in LA and has like his whole underground thing, and we randomly met at the High Times Cup in December, or not December, in like May or whatever, 2015. When I was first new in the industry, we were like randomly at this awards ceremony sitting next to each other, and like became really good friends. Like really good friends, and have been pen pals ever since. Like write each other like all our bullshit that goes on, like weird Margaret stuff. I don't know, whatever. So anyway, right? So he's with me at this thing, but he's like super like DL, like loked out homie, doing his thing, whatever. But like fucking loves it. Like he came and dropped coin at this thing. And he's there, like, right? And he's got, his dudes are all, like, you know, like my bodyguards. But they're not my bodyguards. We're just walking. But anyway, they're like, Jane, we've been doing this a long time. I had to do, like, 100 shows before anybody knew who I was. You got to, and they're, like, a very large hash-making company in L.A. And they're, but like, you know, but I cannot say, but I'm like, but, you know, which shall remain nameless. But they're like a huge extract company in LA. And so they're like, Jane, why do you think people are going to know who you are? And I'm like, why don't people know who I am?
Make you on Facebook? They should
right?
translate it
Like,
to sales.
whatever. Like, a person from Cali came in GTS and knew who I was.
Right.
They got, that's like got to be a thing, right?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Don't thumb up some
right?
money.
I don't know. I was like, I don't get it. So anyway, he was like, you've got to do like, he's like, do you think all your friends over there, pointing to all you guys over there, they were all, you know, he's like, do you think that those guys just like show up and everybody knows who they are? No, they've been around for a really long time, Jane. you don't sell, and I'm like, well, I don't sell stuff, you know? And, so that, like, that was in the back of my mind, but I was like, you know, whatever. But that, like, he's like, you shouldn't have put PHO on there. And I was like what the fuck ever? I'm Propane Jane. Right. These are 100% propane. And he's like, well, you should have put butane. And I'm like, should have? No, because that would be a lie. Right. And they were so simple that, you know, like organically grown, lab tested. Right. You know, like it was so just this. No, that takes away from my essence. You know, what if I were to lie about something like that? But anyway.
And you didn't bring cookies and kush.
It was all this like, here's my stuff, and you know. Anyway, so then enter Matt. Enter Matt. Matt. All of a sudden is like got the jars.
I told him, I was like, go take one of those jars.
Our Matt.
Enter Matt.
We're trying to
we're homies, man. We're hustle for
know,
our
but I
friends.
didn't know that.
We're at the booth across from her watching her
this train
drown.
wreck.
Watching her drown. Like, what? And I'm like, Matt, go over there, grab one of those jars, stand in the middle of the road. Because Matt's standing.
Holy crap, this is
Matt's standing in the middle of the aisle.
Because it's loud.
More than a sign that says CBD
why didn't you
genetics.
take some of the jars out?
Because no, I was getting like ripped off and everything. People are shady as fuck.
Oh yeah.
I was getting ripped off. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I couldn't do anything. I was like withered into nothing because I couldn't leave the booth and I couldn't eat.
Right.
And I couldn't do anything, and it was very overwhelming. Yeah. So enter Matt with my jars out in the crowd, like he is Clinique as fuck. You know, like he's
like when
out
I met
there.
him, I'm like, who summoned Thor?
Here, smell this.
He's already standing at the intersection of everybody walking, twirling a CBD genetic sign for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm like, just grab one of those jars from her and make people smell it, and then point and send them her way instantly.
And that's what he did, and he wrote people in, and I got a lot of sales because of that, and got, you know, feeling a little more confident. But at the end of the day, I still had to go home with so much of this hash, and that was not part of my plan.
Well, no.
My plan was sell your stuff. And then fuck it. You drop the car at the airport. You take a plane ride home, and you go home, and look, it's Christmas time and
Mhm.
kids are happy and everything's great and I can mom, you
Right.
know,
Back to your
without
job.
worrying about what, you know, where everything comes from. So, so I'm carrying all of this stuff and I'm like bummed out. And like the booth vibes were weird and it was just like a whole all these emotions, but I'm like
Right.
also my tail is between my legs and I'm totally sad and I'm all by myself in this incredibly fancy hotel room that I haven't even. I just wanted like a cheeseburger and cake in my bed and I was like I couldn't even have that because it was like so late by the time I
Yeah,
would do
you're
something.
miserable.
And I was
Yeah.
so miserable and it was
Right.
so not fun. And I sat and reflected for like a really long time and I'm sitting there in my hotel room and I'm alone and I'm sad and I miss my kids and I have all this hash that I don't know what to do with. And I am like, how did I fail? And also, how was I so foolish that I put everything into this crazy idea that I was like, that one time you trapped just to see if I could. And then I was
Oh.
like, wait a minute, am I like so not responsible that I totally am like gambling? I mean, I spent so much money on just like
Right.
making a label and like ridiculous stuff because like I just want to see if I could.
Right.
And I did,
Right.
but I failed. And I was like, so at this point
But did you-
so at this point I think I
Yeah.
failed. But to like shift it, because I always get of like, well, okay, what are you feeling right now? I'm not like a feel sorry for yourself really
Right.
type. I'm like, what are you learning right now? And then more importantly, what's going on with the interactions that you've had? And I have this like immense just gratitude of like, whoa, these are people that are like, Jane's cool, dude.
Yeah.
You know,
So
like,
true.
like,
Yeah.
hey, here's paybacks for every time I've showed up and been like, hey,
Right.
you know, like, hey, wait, this is like, wait a minute, Jane's not ridiculously happy right now. Something's going on.
Yeah.
How can we help Jane be happy again? And then so I thought about how it related to me, right? And then I had this shift of putting myself in their shoes, and I was like, damn, they're gangsters, because like the intense like commitment
Mm-hmm.
to doing those booths. I was like, wow, I have a whole new level.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever I see everybody at those shows, I'm high and I'm happy, and they get to see just this bubbly
Right.
of carefree, and then I felt like a child,
Oh.
because but a child that's aware that she was foolish, but nobody was mad that
There was mercy and
there was nobody was
affection,
mad like
Right.
no one's hating on Jane for having a good time
Right.
when they're busting their ass at the booth all the time,
Right.
because they're just, hey Jane, happy to see you. So I had this like weird,
Dichotomy,
it's
yeah.
pretty good, right? Pretty deep in that hotel room, and I was like, wow, well, I have this really new respect for all of my friends that do those booths, and I have failed, but like, and I called my ex-husband and I'm crying and I'm like, I'm gonna get a plane flight home. Well, I'm gonna get a plane flight home was my first,
Was it just cut and run?
like
Like, I'm
I
done.
wanted to, well, but I
Crawl
but I
away.
had to get up and go the second day, and I did go the second day, and oh
That's a
yeah, I went the
trooper.
second day and went the whole
Right.
time.
Right.
And then at the end, I was so, and that's when I called my ex-husband, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna leave the product in Cali with one of my friends that I like in SAC, and have them help me out with it
Right.
to who knows where. And this is a lot of product,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna fly home, and I'm just gonna kind of like with
Right,
my wins and reflect and do better, and then I'll come back around to it. I was like, I just
Yeah.
got to get the fuck away from here right now.
Yeah.
And then I went and I saw one of my friends at like 3 a.m.
Oh.
there that
Yeah.
was also in town, and he took all of my hash home for me. And he was like really fucking awesome. He was like, I'll bring it back for you. Go home, see your babies.
Right.
So I was like, all right, like you're a G. And I have even more friends than I thought. And I know, and we had like our little bonding moment about stuff that goes on in relationships around us. Not necessarily dealing with us, but around us. Right. And then he was like, oh, I'm going to take, I'll take it home. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, wow, I've got all these great friends. So I'm really, like, I'm still like, oh, God, like the
I know
agony.
I know where you're at, yeah.
The agony is like, my God, like heart-wrenching and gut-wrenching at the same time. Like your heart and your gut are the same thing. And you're raw and you're weak and you haven't eaten and you have all these
You were
emotions and
absolutely
everything.
not the first person to go wackadoo in a hotel room at a conference, though.
No way.
I mean,
I don't want to point at myself too much, but but I went wackadoo.
Like, guess what? Like I saw you, now you're seeing me, and I'm sorry that you have to share me in this situation with like a whole bunch of people.
I wish people could see all that.
So.
Oh, I went wackadoo. Yeah. Oh, but I mean, it was totally serious. Like, I was just having nonstop panic attacks and anxiety, and
People
like, I
don't
just
get it.
could not
Like,
come.
I don't want to be out there. You're out there, though, and you go crazy when you go back sometimes.
So this was, So anyway, the hash was going to the friend to get back to me.
So you're taking care of financially.
So I was like, I did. Well, it was like right. So I get the kids and Kent picked me up at the airport, and we're leaving, and I'm like, oh.
What was that like when he picks you up? You had to be just like.
No, he was cool. He goes, you didn't fail.
Oh, right, because you're
He's
kind
like,
of a
you
mess.
didn't fail, Jane. Like you actually, like you tried something. He's like, at least you tried, and you didn't sell none. Like my one, I started crying, and my one.
In the
friend,
United States of America, out of any show, you went straight to the big show.
Oh, I heard that I completely went at baptism by fire.
You went to
I heard that people were like, "Are you fucking kidding?"
Cannabis Cup.
You picked
Cannabis
the first
Cup
time
ain't got
to go
shit
trap.
on that.
She was next to booze that had like $5,000 dab rigs.
Yeah.
Here's samples of all my product, and
Ridiculous.
here's a giant display of everything we have.
Emerald Cup is the big show.
So,
I know that feeling when you walk into a show and you're like, I am drastically unprepared.
But I didn't. But this was very quick. Again, just like learning propane. This was very quick learning curve for Jane, which is my appropriate way.
Oh yeah, no, it's a crucible for me.
And then I fucking rock
I can't wait
it,
for
right?
her walk off this year. She's getting me excited, actually.
So I land. We leave the airport. My phone rings, and it's like this other number, and they were like, hey, is this Jane? You had the hash yesterday, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, we got a zip yesterday. And they're like, we want to buy everything you have. And I was like,
oh, shit.
Oh, really? Like, as soon as I got back to Denver, it was like, you really learned your lesson, right? And here's your humility. The universe says, and now you can, have what you want.
Yeah.
But it got better because a friend of mine that was still in California that had my hash, he was like, cool, just let me know how much I need to get and I'll take care of it. And I was like, sweet. And he's like super G, so like I trust him with everything because he's like up here on the list of people to me. And he was like, we're gonna like lose money on it. And I was like, well, no, but it's not what I wanted, because it's literally my fucking soul in there, and everything that I mean, like did everything like ridiculous. And he was like, well, fuck that, I'll buy it for this right now, and just buys it all.
Wow.
To like love me.
Wow. That's awesome.
And I was like, what? And so I was like, oh, after all of that pain, but then all of that growth, the universe was like, you like learned a whole bunch in 2 days, so I'm gonna give you like super good vibes.
How long did it take to recover? Like physically from that whole weekend?
I mean, like, it still, like, affects me.
It still affects you.
That, because I also, in all of my unpreparedness, like, I didn't have a dolly, I didn't have anything. But I was like, no big deal, I can carry this in, and it, like I said, I had some help.
Suitcase?
But here's the thing: I've never done any of that. I'm totally on the other side of the world, right? When I'm on the lab side, and so, it was so.
So just like you have procedures in the lab, we have them for shows.
Right, and I was like, oh, this is like camping. Like,
Oh,
if
yeah,
I
yeah, I
ever,
got
I
this.
was like, I'm never doing that again.
Right.
And I was like, I'm totally probably gonna do that again. For Propane Jane, right? And then, but
You ever do it again? I got guys you can hire to carry all your
Matt.
shit for you. Yeah, Matt and Andy, they exist.
Matt and Andy
I
saved
like
my
those
world.
shows.
Matt and Andy saved the world. They should write a cartoon about you.
Yeah.
So not going this year, or going this year as a guest?
I don't know. Yeah, I would like to can we go back to me just being really high and you going, hi Jane, let me see you.
I will make room for you at our booth.
I'm like, instead of doing, but you never know. Plain Jane might happen, right?
Oh yeah.
Like 3 months.
Anytime you
Better
got
hurry.
something like that happening that you're gonna drop, or you have something come out
That's
that you need help with, like getting it out there at all, always reach out to us, because
Okay.
like guys like this,
Yeah.
like
I can come
for
in
some
here.
reason, like he's old, but he totally gets social media. Like we're all old, right? But
Yeah.
like the dude, like
If he can
everybody
Facebook
knows Jim.
video,
Right,
like that's
yeah.
pretty good.
Right? I can't do. I got caught at work. I can't do a group text, but I can nail Instagram. I know, it's like some kind of weird.
It's cool.
Well, that's
Wanna
awesome.
dab?
So, other than Plain Jane, just gonna keep with the propane and stay the course.
What do you and Murphy do together? Do you guys work together? Do you collab?
No,
Just kinda
just
good
friends.
friends.
hmm Friends, on and off friends.
Ah. Right.
Everybody has one of those.
Yeah.
So.
Frenemy.
She's really brilliant, Mike.
Yeah, I can tell.
So you planning
And
on
great jokes.
keeping to run the game in Colorado then? Not heading out, not doing anything new. Thinking about going back to Ohio,
So
making rocks.
where you're,
Ohio from Drew Carey show. Everybody says
right?
Ohio. Yeah.
I love Ohio, and I love that they have voted to allow medical marijuana. Ohio is actually really, they have so many cool things, and the infrastructure.
So you're talking, and I'm thinking, let's move there and make a shit ton of money before they catch on.
They can't. What
I'm
did you say?
sorry. Let's
Nothing.
move there before they catch on and make
Oh,
a shit ton of money
So
like we did
there's
in Oregon.
there's
Like what
so,
happened to us here.
They have this. I want to talk about the school for a minute. They have a school, a cannabis school,
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
the
Go ahead.
Cleveland
Yeah,
School
yeah,
of
yeah.
Cannabis, and they're not a la carte like how Cloverleaf is the only other. They are one of 2 state-approved schools in the country.
State approved.
Mhm.
It's nuts.
State approved. They have.
Makes sense.
You can pick certificate programs like a dispensary manager.
Really?
Manager. They have.
Weird.
It's awesome, and you take a whole semester.
Versus
course
just throwing
it's-
you out on the street and
Yeah.
saying
A
do
whole
it.
semester of
Metrics
courses.
training.
And
where
they
you have
reach
to do
out to
metric.
good people to
You-
teach
you
it
have to
too. You know
do-
how I know why? Because they got a hold of me.
Oh, they do.
Through, God, who was it through? I think it was through Wolf, actually. But yeah, they were
Yes.
looking
There's a
for
couple
like the
people
best
we've
of the
talked
best
about.
in the industry
Yeah.
to like teach these. So they're legit.
I've done like drop-in. I Skype with the extracts class because they're like, oh, we want somebody that. And I've been to the school,
Right.
and I'm like super passionate about their
That's
school.
What a crazy place to have
it's-
such a
Were you
legit.
gonna
It's
become a
so
professor?
it's so awesome. Well, it did. If there's the summer classes line up again, they wanted. I was gonna do the fast track teacher one, the
Oh,
condensed
right.
one. I did show up and do a Q&A at one of them, and then do Skype drop in
Nice.
for the professors there when they're on hydrocarbon extraction.
I just
So
picture
they
her
have.
on
I
a
love that it's like a
They
school
have-
where like,
oh, it's
now
so-
we're studying hydrocarbon
Yeah, so
extraction.
yep, so,
so
yeah,
awesome.
check it out. So check it out.
So
Well, that's why I
cool.
want to do more
You
with this
get
school.
Propane Jane on
They-
Skype.
Yeah, they don't even know, all right?
We got some questions that we're not sure about. Let's get Jane on stuff.
Like here,
That's an awesome school.
It's an awesome school. So, and
Kids
you
these
take,
days.
and so they have, everybody has to take the history of cannabis course. So, like, you have to take it. They have, like, Six Sigma Lean. They make you do intro to business, like, classes. It's very
Structure.
broad, yes,
Yeah.
and, like, covers everything
Actually
that you
means
would need to
something.
know.
Right.
Yes, they, actually prepare you.
Wow.
They're incredibly passionate about cannabis because they're like us,
Right.
you know, working hard to make it work,
Yeah.
right?
Not like Dr. Dank's School of Gardening.
So
You
this
take a
is
2-week
like,
online
they have
course
a-
and I'll
they have
make you a master
cultivation
gardener.
classes.
There is one here in Oregon. It's like a 3-day course. And you're
I
a
just
master
made up that
gardener at
name,
the
but I
end.
bet you it exists.
No, it rhymes with what you said. But yeah, and I feel bad because people will go there and pay a ton of money for this, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't learn anything.
Yeah,
Like,
this
how can you learn something?
and
in 3
this,
days?
I mean, still a school like it. There's no substitution for experience, right?
So, yeah.
And so that's why they're like, oh,
Do they
whoa, can you
extract?
help with this? No, but
'Cause you're not,
my
like, on-
idea
you're on
was
Skype going,
no,
"Don't pull
you're
that
in a-
lever."
yeah, you're yeah, right. You're in a. I thought about like doing like loaner equipment to the school,
Right.
like coming in and doing like a CPR class, but we're doing
Yeah,
like
yeah.
an
Or like
extract
instruments.
class where we
Like,
could
here's your
just
tuba.
show everything that we can't actually extract or have solvent, but we could, you know, mock
Walk through
it.
it.
Yeah, you
Right.
can walk through it. I did talk about that with them, or doing one in the ETS lab
Oh,
of like here walking through, here's extraction, and you can video it.
I was just say, could you do that Skyping process?
Yeah, and like
Just
video
give away
it
all
from
your
the
IP?
lab. We've just, yeah, really. Could you just, can we, yeah, you like punch in a code. I could be like a hotline,
Oh,
but
right,
it's
like,
like a hash
You have to
line.
be able to plug up your valve.
You put in your credit card, and then you
Right,
get minutes
$4.99.
with
It's
you.
Jane
but-
on TV at night.
Yes.
Are you extracting propane? Do you need help?
Have you come to a grind
Call
halt?
me.
Right.
Ah!
So,
That's
yeah.
hilarious.
I need to bust out my VHS camera and tape, and I need to record
We
that
could have
commercial
actual
of you.
glamour shots by Deb. Glamour shots by Deb. So, yeah, she's in it. Glamour shots by Deb. We're talking about you.
Yeah. Can you do glamour shots?
By Deb.
No?
My kids and I talked about that. It's a Napoleon Dynamite. And my kids had a laugh.
We used to
about
go
the name.
to Sears, which was kind of like glamour shots because you
Uh-huh.
get all dressed up and they put
Yeah.
the fall background
yeah.
on.
Uh-huh.
And you have your
Olin
striped
Mills.
sweater.
Olin Mills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there too. Where they take the
Let's
picture of your
age
family and then
ourselves.
like dad's head's like cropped out
Yeah.
over here with the shade around it.
So,
Like,
Myrna got us once.
fucking of course Myrna did. I
Oh,
love
yeah,
Myrna.
she's got us these new clothes.
Busted.
Don't change out of them and hustle us over to get the photographs.
Keep the tags in and return them. That's good.
That's like fucking
Suburbia
sitcom comedy
101.
shit. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm glad I heard that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those.
That's real life. It's a real life shit.
Yeah, get off the floor. We gotta take that back. Crazy challenge.
That's real life
It
shit.
is.
That's real life shit.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hilarious. I suppose we've recorded long enough and it's
You
late.
sure it's even recording?
Sure, it's just
That
a
would be
rare.
So, thank you everybody for joining us on tonight's Jotcast.